There is a way of reading tarot that has nothing to do with prediction. It does not attempt to tell you what will happen. It does not offer comfort through certainty, nor does it rely on belief. Instead, it sharpens perception. It reveals patterns that are already in motion, forces that are already active, structures that shape your decisions long before you become aware of them. There is a persistent idea that tarot comes from ancient Egypt. You've probably heard it before. The pyramids, the priestesses, the mysterious symbols. It feels too aligned to be accidental. But if you ask historians, they will tell you this is not true. They will say tarot appeared in Europe in the 15th century as a card game. No pyramids, no temples, no initiation. So the question is not simply, is tarot from Egypt? The real question is, why does tarot feel Egyptian? Why do these systems, separated by time and geography, mirror each other so precisely? Because what connects them is not history, it is structure. Ancient Egypt was not just a civilization, it was a symbolic system designed to map the evolution of the soul. Everything in Egypt was intentional. The temples were not just places of worship, they were spaces of initiation. The pyramids were not just tombs, they were machines of transformation. The gods were not just deities, they were archetypal forces within the psyche. And this is exactly how tarot operates when you move beyond surface-level readings. Take the High Priestess. She sits between two pillars, she guards a veil. She does not act, she observes. This is not just a random image. It mirrors the role of the Egyptian priestess, particularly the energy associated with Isis, the guardian of hidden knowledge. In ancient temples, not everyone was allowed to pass beyond certain thresholds. Knowledge was not given. It was revealed only to those who were prepared to perceive it. The High Priestess carries the same function. She does not answer questions. She tests your ability to see. Now look at the structure of the Major Arcana. It begins with the Fool, a figure stepping into the unknown, without awareness of what lies ahead. In Egyptian cosmology, this is similar to the soul entering incarnation, or the sun being reborn at dawn, pure, unformed, but unconscious. From there, the journey unfolds through encounters with power, illusion, control, love, destruction, and ultimately transformation. This is not random storytelling. This is an initiation sequence. The Egyptians had a concept known as the journey through the underworld, the duat. After death, the soul would pass through a series of trials. It would encounter forces that tested its truth, its integrity, and its alignment. At one point, the heart of the deceased would be weighed against a feather, the feather of Ma'at, representing truth and cosmic order. If the heart was heavier than the feather, it meant the soul was burdened by illusion, imbalance, or falsehood. Now look at the card of justice, a figure holding scales, a sword representing truth, balance as the central principle. This is not coincidence. It is the same psychological mechanism expressed through a different symbolic language. Or consider death. In tarot, death does not mean physical death. It represents transformation, the end of a cycle, the necessary dissolution of what no longer serves. In Egypt, death was not feared in the same way it is today. It was understood as a transition, a passage into another state of being. The god Anubis guided souls through this transition. He did not destroy them. He escorted them. This is the exact function of the death card. It does not end you. It changes your form. And then there is the tower, a structure struck by lightning, a sudden collapse, the destruction of something that once felt stable. In Egyptian terms, this is the collapse of false order, a forced awakening. It reflects a moment where illusion can no longer be sustained, where something constructed on unstable foundations must fall, not as punishment, but as correction. Now let's go deeper, because the strongest link between Egypt and tarot is not visual, it is symbolic language itself. The Egyptians used hieroglyphs. Each symbol carried multiple layers of meaning, literal, metaphorical, spiritual. You did not just read hieroglyphs, you decoded them. Tarot functions in exactly the same way. A single card can represent a situation, a psychological state, a pattern, a lesson, and a potential outcome all at once. This is not decoration, this is encoded knowledge. There is also a figure that sits at the center of many occult traditions, Thoth. Thoth was the Egyptian god of writing, knowledge, and magic. He was associated with the ability to record reality and, more importantly, to understand its structure. Later traditions merged Thoth with Hermes, forming the figure known as Hermes Trismegistus, the foundation of Hermetic philosophy. Some esoteric traditions claim that tarot is the book of Thoth, not a literal book, but a symbolic system containing universal knowledge. Whether or not this is historically accurate is almost irrelevant, because functionally, tarot behaves like such a book. It describes how reality operates, internally and externally. So when you see pyramids, priestesses, or Egyptian references in tarot imagery, you are not looking at proof of origin, you are looking at resonance, two systems built in different times arriving at the same structure, a structure based on initiation, transformation, symbolic perception, and the evolution of consciousness. And this is where most people misunderstand tarot. They reduce it to prediction. They ask what will happen instead of understanding what is happening within them. But if you look at tarot through the same lens as ancient Egypt, something shifts. It stops being a tool for answers and becomes a system for recognition. You begin to see patterns instead of events, forces instead of people, cycles instead of isolated situations. Because at its core, both Egypt and tarot are describing the same thing: the movement of the soul through different states of awareness, the confrontation with illusion, the necessity of collapse, the process of refinement, and the return to alignment. So did tarot come from Egypt? Not in the way people think, but it doesn't need to. Because what tarot encodes, Egypt already understood. And what Egypt expressed in temples, myths, and rituals, tarot compresses into 78 images. The real connection is not historical, it is structural, psychological, archetypal. And once you see that, you stop reading tarot as cards and start reading it as a map.